I think that online gaming can lead to gambling. Gambling-like behaviours are incorporated into heaps of popular games, even some Disney games, and that can make gambling seem like a normal thing to do. Once gambling seems normal, it's easy to move from gambling-like behaviours to actual gambling. There's now plenty of research, really good research, showing that loot boxes have pretty much the same characteristics as gambling. Skin betting is also essentially gambling, but it involves winning skins rather than money. Social casino games, they involve gambling-like behaviour on casino-like games. They're easy to play, and you can play them on portable devices like mobile phones. They're very popular and common. But with casino games, you can spend heaps of real money to play and to win the virtual rewards. And because of that, and because they never pay out actual money, they don't meet the definition of actual gambling. Instead, they're classified as entertainment, and for that reason, they aren't regulated. Screen addictions and gambling addictions look really similar in the brain. And the sorts of people who have problems with gambling are often the same sorts of people who have problems with gaming. For example, in my experience, people who have problems with self-regulation and emotion regulation, people who have experienced trauma in their past, or people whose basic needs are not being met very well in the offline world, they tend to be more at risk for both problem gaming and problem gambling. I think the key thing to remember is that the parts of the brain where we seek pleasure are fully developed at around the age of 3. However, the parts of the brain that resist impulses, think through consequences, manage our emotions and control our behaviour, they're not fully formed until the late 20s and maybe even later for some males. And that makes young people at far greater risk of doing enjoyable but risky things without considering the consequences, and for developing problems with activities such as gambling. The research suggests that older teenagers are probably around 4 times more likely to develop a gambling problem than adults are. Excessive gaming has been linked to the loss of grey matter in key parts of the brain, including the all-important frontal lobes, where key functions like focus, memory, self-control, impulse control, thinking through consequences, planning for the future all occur. Excessive gaming and gambling are also linked to changes in the brain's reward circuitry that look very, very similar to the changes that you see in people who have a drug addiction. And excessive gaming can impact a lot of areas of life. Doing worse at school, having conflict and breakdown in key relationships, letting go of important activities, especially outdoor ones, becoming less active, and having the physical problems that come with that inactivity. Obesity, vision problems, lower bone density, poorer gross motor skills, muscle degeneration. With gambling, there might also be stolen money or legal problems, and mental health usually deteriorates, and with anxiety, depression, fear, and suicidality all being common. At their extreme, gambling addictions ruin the lives of the gambler and often the lives of the people around them. I've seen some horrendous stories. It is so much easier to avoid the problem if you can, and if you can't avoid it, to deal with it as early as you can. Look, I think that gambling-like behaviour, where you can spend real money, such as skins betting or using social casino games, should be regulated in the same way gambling is. Loot boxes are also very similar to gambling, and I reckon they should be regulated too. Legislators, they need to recognise that in terms of brain development, young people are at a greater risk of having trouble regulating their gambling and gambling-like behaviour, and they should legislate in a way that protects them. Young people are more vulnerable, and some online businesses deliberately exploit that in order to make profits. So governments, they need to step in and to protect young people as best they can. Keep the channels of communication open. Kids who gamble are usually afraid of the legal consequences or of getting into trouble, and they mostly don't tell anyone. And parents can be judgmental or get angry or just not know what to say or do. Once a young person is talking openly to someone they trust, then the problem can be worked on together. Heaps of help is available, and most of it's free. Counselling, therapy, sorting out the financial and legal problems if they exist, lots more. Build your identity around some offline abilities as well. Sport, music, art, something you're good at. Find friends with similar interests or encourage your friends to branch out and diversify in their interests too. You might want to make some personal rules and stick to them. For example, for every hour I'm online, I'll spend an hour outdoors. If you think you do have a problem, seek out help as soon as you can. You can go to Gambling Helpline, 1-800-522-4700. You can seek out help with Gambling Help Online or Kids Helpline. They're great, 1-800-551-800. Lifeline, 13 11 14. Your local doctor. Remember, the sooner you get help, the easier it is to solve the problem.